I am mighty. Thor Ragnarok is directed by Taika Waititi and stars yet again Chris Hemsworth as Thor, and in this story he has to do exactly what it says on the tin. He has to stop Ragnarok. Now, to do that he has to, with a team of new friends, defeat Hela, the goddess of death. As I've said in the past, I am a huge Marvel boy, and this one, for me, as soon as I found out the release date, I was begging for this film. It was hugely anticipated on my movie calendar, and my good God, it did not disappoint. Now, when it comes to the other Thor movies, they were always sort of the dark horse of the entire set. This is, of course, now one of only 2 other Marvel superheroes that have trilogies. Now, with the first Thor, this one I think really was sort of, tells a story. He really had to learn things. He really had to overcome odds to teach himself and to show everyone else that he could do things. And the second one is the second one. So yeah, I like Thor, but I never really loved Thor. Out of the 2, the first one was always my favourite, but I'm pretty sure that's now changed. I normally have a huge rule when I go and see a movie. I don't talk. I don't even talk when the adverts are on before the trailers. But in this movie, I went with a really good buddy of mine, and we both were howling with laughter, audibly just like screaming with laughter. This film did not take itself seriously. It knows that the franchise is known for kooky weirdness, and it just rolled with that. It didn't try and set up the 9 realms. It didn't try and link everybody because Thor could go into different dimensions and Heimdall could see things. It never took itself so literally and so seriously. Taika Waititi took this film, had a huge ball with it, and you could really tell, because from the first act, the first line, Thor's in a cage narrating his story to a skeleton, and it's still amazing. It's just such a different take on what was considered, I think, quite a serious part of the MCU. As I say, I really had to give props to Taika Waititi on this one. He took the Thor premise, which was rather boring at certain points, and he turned it on its head. I can really now, in terms of like the MCU movies, I would compare this to Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that Chris Hemsworth has turned into a bit of a Chris Pratt with this one. That is how different it is. Chris Hemsworth is, of course, back at the helm with the titular role of Thor. And dear God, the first thing I noticed was that he is jacked up in this movie. I've read reports that him and his personal trainer knew what he was going to, show off more than anything. He wears a lot of sort of sleeveless armour in this, and you can really tell they beefed him up to probably the biggest he's ever been in the entire MCU series. And not being weird or anything, but he's a good looking dude. I've always loved Loki in the franchise. I still think he's Marvel's best villain. Yes, they're not known for strong villains, of course, but Tom Hiddleston yet again brings a solid and amazing performance as Loki. And this one, I think, is a little different as well. They've given him some real meat. He really has to work with Thor in this. They really have to take his personality. Yes, he's a scoundrel. He's the god of mischief, for God's sake. You expect it from Loki. But they don't just go with the mischief thing like they have in the other movies. They've taken what they did in the Dark World, that thing where he works with Thor, and they've really tried to work with it. And they've really tried to sort of give him more meat and a backstory. I really appreciated that. I really think Tom Hiddleston sort of did as well, because Loki was probably a little bit one-dimensional for the first couple of films he was in, but now I truly trust that they can take this character that they've given Tom Hiddleston, that he's been nailing for the last few years, and really, really let him work with it. We of course get a cameo from Mark Ruffalo as Hulk. I say Mark Ruffalo, I mean more Hulk. He plays Hulk in this movie for 85% of it, I would say. I thought that would really annoy me, because if you've seen the trailers, you see that Hulk talks in it to Thor. I thought, they just ruined it. He, of course, just screamed a lot in the Avengers and in the other 2 unmentionable Hulk films. but actually he was really funny. They had some laddish banter between Thor and Hulk, almost like college roommates kind of thing, and every time he was on the screen with Thor having their banter, it was truly hilarious. There was not really a moment in this entire movie that I hated. It was really solid, and there was a lot of humour that wasn't overdone, and that can be done sometimes if people find things funny, but I really don't think that happened. There are also a few new entries in this movie. Don't worry, I won't keep everyone forever. I will go through them just a little bit. First of all, we have Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master. It's Jeff Goldblum, so it was of course amazing. Now we saw a little bit of him dancing a little bit in the Guardians Volume 2 credits at the end. If you stuck around that long, you should have done. If you're a Marvel fan, you shouldn't be silly and leave. He was awesome, exactly what I expected him to be. He's got the Goldblumisms. That's a word, I swear. But of course you're not surprised to learn that Jeff Goldblum is just absolute perfection as the Grandmaster. We also get Tessa Thompson, a relatively unknown actress in my head, but she absolutely nailed it as the character Valkyrie. She has a pretty big story, so if you haven't seen the movie, I really don't want to give much away about her, but she was good, honest. And lastly, on to our villain Hela, played amazingly by Cate Blanchett. Now we know Cate Blanchett nails it in most roles I've ever seen her in. Lord of the Rings, of course she nails it, and the list goes on and on and on. Even her little tiny cameo in Hot Fuzz, little tidbit for you there if you didn't know. But she actually looked absolutely incredible in this movie as Hela. Just brought this sort of sexy sleekness to her, but at the same time being a badass villain. And of course the woman knows how to sell herself as a villain. She's so comfortable in this role, and also has some very funny moments in it as well as these kick-ass scenes. Loved every part about what she did. Her powers were so cool as well. You know, between her and Thor, it's a pretty tough go as to which one I want. No, it's definitely the Thunder thing, because I want that big hammer and the muscles. I want to be him. I want to be him, please. This movie for me is the best MCU movie since Civil War. Yes, it is that damn good. It's hilarious, it's entertaining. The CGI, may I also add, is absolutely beautiful to withhold. It is amazing what they do with the CGI in this movie. It's always been quite nice what they do with Asgard in all of the films, but this one, to me, they had so much more depth. Where the Grand Master is, it looks amazing as well. All the set pieces just looked absolutely incredible. Also, the director Taika Waititi has a character in this movie. All I will say to you is look out for the character of Korg. Oh my god, I've never laughed so hard in the cinema in my life. If you're going to see this movie, look out for that character and just enjoy. Guys, this movie is a perfect addition to the MCU, even down to its 80s soundtrack, giving it that futuristic Blade Runner type feel, while also giving it its total individuality. The whole theme of this movie, down to its title card, is really 80s, and I loved how balls to the wall Taika Waititi went with this movie and made it completely different to any other movie, I think, so far in the MCU. I think it's pretty obvious at this point, guys, but I give Thor Ragnarok a 5 out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always. If you have seen the movie, please let me know what you think about it. Of course, I would love to know. Don't forget to follow me on all the social networks. Click that little subscribe button for me. You'll know the drill, and I'll see you all in the next video.